Hey guys, and thank you for joining me for our very special 5,000 subscribers Q&A celebration. This video has been a few years in the making since we did our 2,000 subscriber special a couple of years ago now, I think. And honestly, I was pretty excited to hit what I consider to be a pretty major milestone for me early last month. I have something a little special here that I'd like to share with you guys that was gifted to me by my girlfriend. It's a custom-made YouTube play button for Evergreen ASMR. Congratulations for surpassing 5,000 subscribers. This is a really neat little gift that my girlfriend got me. She said she ordered it a long time ago, like years, and then I stopped putting content out for a bit, so it got postponed a bit, but I think this is really cool. She said she got it off Etsy, and she got a purple play button because it's my favorite color. And basically I like to use these as like motivators. So I've got one for like my first payout from Twitch and my first payout from Google for YouTube, and now I've got this, which is really cool. It's a very nice gift, and at some stage I'll get around to hanging it on a wall or possibly making a stand for it and displaying it quite proudly in my YouTube studio. But yeah, I thought this was really cool. I'm very appreciative of it. I'm also very appreciative of all of you for supporting this channel over the last 7 years, in times of long hiatuses, series that go on for multiple years even though they have no right, series that come and go and disappear into the wind, and my exploration of the kind of content I want to make and the kind of content creator that I want to be. There would be no way that I would still be creating ASMR and gaming videos for all of you 7 years later without the constant positive support and kind words from the community that we have worked to build. And that's all on you guys. That's your hard work, and for that I am very appreciative. I don't think I can say that word properly. Appreciative. I don't think that's it either, but you know what I mean. I'm very thankful for everything that you guys do for me. And in saying that, I asked for your questions, any questions that I could answer. I sent them out into the community, and we got a bunch back from all of you. So let's get started, shall we? Our first question comes from the Toasty Toaster, who says, "Congratulations, seems like just yesterday you did your 2K video. Although this has been a bad year for a lot of people, what good things have happened to you this year?" Thanks, Toasty. So yeah, this year's been a bit of a write-off, I think. Pretty stressful for a lot of people. Thankfully it hasn't impacted me personally in any extreme ways. For that I'm very grateful. And all of my friends and family are safe, which is even better. Unfortunately, you can't really get out that much and do a whole lot, so it's been sort of hard to reach sort of mini personal goals that I was looking forward to achieving this year. I've had to sort of adapt those where I could, but it's always good to look for the silver linings in things. So a few good things that have happened to me this year. At the end of last year, I adopted a cat, and he's grown into the house very comfortably. He's very friendly. He's very happy and healthy, and for that I'm thankful. That he's brought like a lot of love and happiness to my year this year. I've been streaming more, which has always been sort of a mental barrier to me where I want to do it but I don't. But this year I think I've streamed more than I did last year. And I've only done it like a handful of times this year, so that's not saying a whole lot, but it has been good to get back into that side of content creation. I've also been working pretty hard at my job, which I guess is good because it's keeping me busy, keeping me honest, doing some hard work all the time. So that's good. I've launched a couple of new videos that I've worked really hard on I would consider great success. A lot of people like the Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke videos, and for that I'm proud. And other than that, I've just been enjoying some really good video games. Like, a lot of good games came out this year. I've been going back and finishing off some in my backlog. Most recently I finished Paper Mario, the Origami King, and that was a pretty good experience. I know a lot of people are pretty torn when it comes to the Paper Mario franchise, but overall I would say I had a very positive experience with Origami King. And I've played like a lot of much older games from like my childhood that are always fun to revisit every now and then. So yeah, as I said, it's hard to achieve like any major life goals or what have you, but I am proud to have gotten through the worst of this year without too much emotional or mental burden. And even though I have only achieved like minuscule goals, I would say, in comparison to my grand scheme, it's still baby steps, it's still progress, day by day. It's growth on some level, so yeah. Thank you for your question, and I hope you are happy and having a good year as well. Our next question comes from Nick's Games. He says, "Hey Evergreen, my question for you is, why did you start doing ASMR for YouTube?" So, back in 2014, I had a bunch of equipment. I had an interface, which is kind of ancient now and I really should replace soon. I had a couple of microphone sets. I had a guitar, and I had this camera and an older camera. And my original plan was to do music covers on YouTube because I really liked playing my favourite songs and performing them for my friends, even though I had like zero confidence. And unfortunately, because I did have zero confidence, I never got around to really filming any music videos. But I did watch a lot of ASMR content for sleep and relaxation during the day. And one day I was like, you know what, I love watching these videos, and I love watching like unintentional ASMR where people are just doing menial tasks or things not specifically for ASMR. And I was like, you know what, I want to give that a try. That seems kind of cool. And I tried a couple of times to have like a Let's Play channel. But because Let's Plays were so oversaturated at the time, and still are, they basically never got any views. So I was like, you know what, let's do like a Nuzlocke ASMR mashup kind of thing. That'd be cool. I've always wanted to do a Nuzlocke, and I've started doing ASMR videos. Let's combine them, see what we get. And from there, yeah, it kind of took off. The Fire Red Nuzlocke series did really well. It's what got me my first 100 subscribers, and from there everything sort of blew up, and I was really excited. I made lots of content. I used to do like 2 or 3 videos a week, and now I'm lucky if I have time to do like 1 a month, which is a bit sad sometimes, but yeah. So yeah, it was just, I love doing media stuff, and I thought that ASMR was something that I also love, and gaming was something that I also love, so why not just mash it all up. And yeah, that's how I created an ASMR channel, and that's how I am where I am today. And you know, it was always just good helping people to sleep or relax, because I definitely needed a lot of those videos back in the day to get to sleep. So if I can help out people by doing the same thing, then that's even better. But thank you for your question. Our next question comes from Wishfish, who says, congratulations on 5,000 subscribers. Thanks, man. Hope you're well. Thank you for supporting the channel. Our next question comes from Garchomp Loving Gamer, who says, what is your favourite and least favourite Pokemon? So my favourite Pokemon is kind of a mashup or a tie between 3. I really like Sableye from Gen 3, and from Gen 1 I really like Mr. Mime and Poliwhirl. Specifically Poliwhirl, not Poliwag, not Poliwrath, Poliwhirl. Sableye I always just thought was really cool, and when I got into competitive battling in Gen 6, Sableye had a pretty cool moveset, and a lot of people struggled with it. In Battle Spot anyway. I don't think it was like OU competitive or anything, but so yeah, I always just thought that was a really cool Pokemon, and it's like kind of unknown as well. It's not like, oh, my favourite Pokemon is Mewtwo or Charizard or Garchomp or Pikachu, you know, it's like Sableye. No one likes Sableye. Sableye is cool. Poliwhirl I like because I got pretty into Pokemon Go for a while, and I ended up catching a Poliwhirl in the wild. I was like, this little fella is so cheerful. Man, I've really been sleeping on like the Poly family for like ever. Poliwhirl is so cool. So now my buddy in Pokemon Go is a Poliwhirl named Scoops, and he is my bro. And he's awesome. And Mr. Mime I just kind of like because, again, he was kind of like Gen 1, no one ever used Mr. Mime, no one ever like thought twice about Mr. Mime. It's like, no one, Gyarados, Dragonite, Mewtwo, Zapdos, you know, all those strong Pokemon. It's like, I don't know, Mr. Mime's pretty cool. So I ended up actually running through Pokemon Shield using a Kanto Mr. Mime. And it was a blast. He's pretty strong with a Choice Specs, Psychic, and like Dazzling Gleam and stuff. It's cool. As for my least favourite Pokemon, I don't really have a least favourite. I kind of don't really like Dunsparce that much. Some of the bug Pokemon can get pretty repetitive, and like, actually there's a lot of Pokemon in Gen 2 that I don't really like Dunsparce, Sentret and Furret, like Ladybug, and like Shuckle I'm not huge on. I think that's probably just because I put like hundreds of hours into Pokemon Gold when I was a kid. And so I just don't really like those couple of Pokemon. They're just kind of ugly and kind of useless and just like meh. But like, I don't outright hate them. I'm just like, if you showed me a picture of Dunsparce, I'd probably just be like, ugh, and then move on with my day, you know. But thanks for your question. I assume you have to like Chansey and possibly Garchomp. They're both pretty cool too. Our next question is from Sam A, who says, here's a few, you can obviously either pick all, a few, or none. What was your first Pokemon game and starter? What is your favourite Pokemon region? What movies, TV shows have you watched lately that you have enjoyed? Have you done anything you wanted to do during lockdown that you're proud of? Sorry they're a bit lame, but I look forward to the vid. Thanks, Sam. It's always good to see a comment from you, and I appreciate your support. So, my first Pokemon game and starter. I can't remember if my first game was blue or yellow, because I remember having both of them at a pretty early age, but I'm not sure which came first, because I know that yellow came out after red and blue, but I don't know if I just happened to pick up blue and yellow at the same time or not. If it was yellow, obviously my starter was Pikachu. If it was blue, I actually usually went for Squirtle. Most people go for like Charizard or Charmander. A lot of people like hate Bulbasaur, but I probably picked Squirtle because Blastoise was on the cartridge, and I was like, oh, you're obviously supposed to pick Blastoise. You know, I was a very literal kid. Yeah. So not very interesting, but yeah, Pikachu or Squirtle, I think. My favourite Pokemon region. I know it's cliche, but I would have to say Kanto. I feel like that region is kind of home to me because I've played it over so many different generations, like, you know, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 remakes, Let's Go remakes, Gen 4 with the Gen 2 remakes. You know, Kanto's been done so many times, and I know that that's probably enough to make people sick of it, but I really like it. My favourite game would probably have to be like Leaf Green or Fire Red. I think those are my absolute favourite versions of Kanto. Although the Let's Go games really made that world look really nice, and the music was phenomenal in that game, I just probably would have preferred it with more conventional gameplay. Not that it was bad, but just imagine like typical Pokemon gameplay like Fire Red, but with Let's Go graphics and music. That'd be awesome. As for movies and TV shows that I've watched lately, movies. So last year, Parasite won Best Picture. I was like, oh, this must be really good. So I watched Parasite, and I enjoyed it. But I was like, is this really Best Picture material? So I actually went through and watched most of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. So that's like Marriage Story, Joker, Parasite, 1917, Jojo Rabbit, stuff like that. There was a few I didn't watch because I wasn't interested, like the Ford v Ferrari, I think that's what it's called, and The Irishman I haven't watched yet because it's 3 hours. But Parasite I enjoyed, but I'm still not convinced it was Best Picture. Marriage Story I didn't think I would like because I'm not really into sort of, I want to say rom-com, but it's not a rom-com, like romantic, I guess, movies about relationships. But I thought that was really good. Adam Driver was phenomenal in that, as was Scarlett Johansson. There was like that one scene in the middle of Marriage Story where they're just screaming at each other, like having this absolute meltdown of an argument. I was like, whoa, this got real. I really like that. I don't think that was Best Picture either. Joker, I don't really like DC stuff that much, but as a like standalone movie, I thought Joker was really good. That was a very interesting character study. Still don't know about Best Picture for that one either. Jojo Rabbit I was not really fussed about. I didn't think it was bad. A lot of the jokes weren't really landing for me. It's supposed to be like a funny one about a young Nazi boy whose imaginary friend is Hitler. Yeah, it was okay. Wasn't amazing. And then I haven't seen a few of the others. But Joker I really liked. Parasite I really liked. Marriage Story I really liked. I still haven't decided which one should be Best Picture, but and for TV series I've watched Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I just finished part 1 or season 1 a few days ago. That's okay, it's not my favourite either. It has its moments though where it's pretty intense. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I'm not like, I have to watch this right now. And I also watched The Boys season 1 and I'm about to start season 2 because that came out a couple of days ago. And I think The Boys is a pretty phenomenal show as well. It's basically what if superheroes were real but they were all assholes and run by like a corporate America and that kind of thing. I think it's pretty clever. And Supernatural should be coming back next month, so I'm keenly waiting for the end of that after its like year-long hiatus basically. And as for things that I've done during lockdown, I sort of talked about this earlier. Got some videos out, started some series that I was looking forward to. There are still some videos that I've ready to upload, but they haven't reached their time yet. Like I've got other things to go out first and other things to finish off. I've been playing competitive video games for a bit, and I'm pretty much happy with where I've ended that at the moment. I'm sort of taking a break from that to focus on some more single player and casual multiplayer games. And other than that, I'm just sort of proud of how I've been handling this this write-off of a year. Because honestly I can get pretty down about things sometimes, but this year has been just like meh. Stuff happens. As long as everyone keeps trying their best to be happy and healthy, that's all that really matters to me. But yeah, none of those were lame. Thank you for the questions, and hope to see you around the channel. Our next question comes from Dylan F, who says, "Congratulations again on the 5,000 subscribers. You have made so much excellent content for everyone to enjoy, so thank you for that. My question is kind of broad, but do you have any new series or projects you're working on? I know you have a couple older series still going and you just started the Platinum Nuzlocke, but is there anything new in the works? Any new board game videos or fingers crossed horror movie club?" Okay, so first of all I want to apologise because I know that you love Horror Movie Club and you're always hoping that it comes back, and I'm always like, yeah, it'll come back, and then it never does. But yes, Horror Movie Club will be coming back in some form, hopefully soon. Hopefully at least by the end of the year we'll have episode 2 of Horror Movie Club. But I'll get to that in a minute. First of all I want to say thank you for your constant support, Dylan. It means a lot, man, and I always like hearing from you, so thanks very much. So, new series or projects that I'm working on. I do have one video filmed for a new series that will be a from time to time series, not like a constant upload, not like a weekly upload. It'll be from like, hey, I felt like doing an episode of this series, so here it is. The first episode of that is ready to upload, fully edited. It'll be going up probably after the next Pokemon Nuzlocke episode. And I think if you're a fan of card games, you'll like that one. I do have plenty of other series planned but not filmed. I'm hoping to start on some of those once I move to a more permanent filming location. This, at the moment, is a pretty temporary location. but hopefully by the end of the year or early next year, I'll be in a more permanent filming location and I can start some of those new series. There are some like reviews and stuff that I want to do. Like I want to do a series where I sort of review games that I've been playing and talk about the development, or not the development, but like the design of those games, or cool technology bits and pieces that I've been using, or even reviewing the board games that I've been playing. I think that could be cool. So like doing just a general review series. And in fact, once I come up with a name and some like graphics and stuff for it, that I'll probably be launching. Because I love talking about games, and I could probably do like 20 to 30 minute episodes about one specific game that I've been playing every now and then, or like movies that I've seen, or tech. There's also some things that I wanted to do on Patreon where I was going to do series like there's going to be like a special Let's Go series that was going to be sort of a Patreon only, whether that be for a limited time or forever. I hadn't decided. I wanted to experiment a bit with Patreon, and while I definitely don't think Patreon is necessary for every channel, I sort of just wanted to dabble in it and see how we could go. So there was going to be like, exclusive series for that where you just pay once, you don't pay monthly, you just pay once of like $3 or $5 and you get access to that series. So that would have been interesting. A lot of work, but still fun. I had plans to do a general discussion format podcast where it would still be in this soft-spoken ASMR voice, but it would be again about games or general life stuff, or movies and that kind of thing. In fact, I was going to talk about my Best Picture 2019 project in that, but I sort of just done that in this video. But I wanted to try doing like a 30 to 40 minute podcast, whether that be like bi-weekly or monthly, where I could just turn on the mic and record. I didn't have to worry about what I look like. I didn't have to worry about my camera being in focus and everything. It would just be something to listen to without worrying about missing out on whatever's on the screen because you're asleep or because you're doing other things. So I've made graphics and the project for the sort of podcast that was maybe also going to be like a $1 exclusive Patreon reward, or it might have been free. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm sort of spitballing in the background, and I definitely don't want to lean too heavily into Patreon because I don't want that to feel like there's a paywall behind content, which I know doesn't make sense when I've just said that was going to be exclusive Patreon content, but I see that as extra stuff where it's like, if you don't want to support the channel financially, that's fine. If you do, thanks. Here's extra series. Like I was never going to put main series behind the paywall or anything like that, or go exclusively to paid content only. I would never do that. But yeah, there's sort of a lot to figure out when you're asking people for money. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I've got written down that I just haven't gotten around to filming yet. There's like role plays I want to do. There's new games that I want to play. There's more trigger videos I want to do. There's still some like reading videos that I have to wrap up, that kind of thing. There's definitely going to be more board game videos because since the last one, I think I got like a whole A4 sheet, like a list of ones that I haven't shown off to you guys yet. And I've been meaning to do that, but haven't got around to that yet. And there's still some video games, some retro games that I purchased like last year and the year before that I haven't shown yet, because I haven't got around to filming them yet. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming up. It's very hard in the middle of a global pandemic when I'm not at my main studio, at my main filming location. But yeah, I'm always having ideas. It's just hard to sit down and film them sometimes. as for Horror Movie Club, so the biggest reason I haven't filmed another Horror Movie Club is because the first one took a lot of work going through the movie, like scene by scene, writing everything down. And looking back on it now, while I do like that particular video, I want to try and stay away from like YMS style movie reviews. YMS being a YouTube channel called Your Movie Sucks, who does sort of comedic reviews on movies where he sort of does the same thing. He'll go through scene by scene and say, then this happens and here's why it's funny or here's why it's weird. I don't want to rip that off too much. It takes a long time to write, and I feel like I'm being too nitpicky. So what I've been trying to do is reformat Horror Movie Club to where it's a more serious but still light discussion about the movie, and just sort of go through the synopsis, any background information, and then like things that were interesting, things that were bad, things that didn't make sense, but not necessarily go through scene by scene of those movies. So hopefully that should make it more enjoyable for me to make, and therefore make it easier for me to produce more Horror Movie Club movies, because I still love horror movies and I still want to talk about them. And then I did actually film the second episode of Horror Movie Club 3 times, I think. The first time I had audio issues, the second time my camera was blurry, and the third time was just like, you know what, I'm just not that passionate about this particular movie, which was Mama, I believe, with Nikolai Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones. So yeah, Horror Movie Club will be making a return. I love that series. It's just, it might not be in the exact same way as the first episode, so I hope that's okay. Our next question comes from Bjarni Schneer. I don't know how to pronounce that, man, sorry. Who says, would you consider making one or a few additions to your Game of Thrones read-through? So this is interesting. I have thought many times about continuing Game of Thrones because I know a lot of people love the channel and love those videos because of those videos. But the problem is it's technically breaching copyright. Like, I can't just read someone else's book. And I know I've done it several times, but honestly, every time I do it, I'm pushing my luck more and more. If they wanted to, George Martin could copyright strike me, J.K. Rowling could copyright strike me, because it's not transformative and it's just breaching copyright, basically. So while I do appreciate that everyone loves those videos, it's very risky content for me to make, and I don't want to put my channel at risk. That being said, there was also thoughts that I had where I would go through the entire book, read it chapter by chapter, record it as audio only, and put that up on Patreon as a Patreon reward for download. So not hosted on my YouTube channel, but like on a Google Drive or something. So you pay $3 to $5. Here's the entirety of Game of Thrones, read by yours truly. Now that, you would argue, is even worse because I'm actually charging you money for it. And yes, I agree. It's definitely not legal. It was something I had considered doing because in the grand scheme of things, I am a small content creator. And having it not hosted on YouTube would feel a bit safer for my channel. And honestly, reading an entire book, like developing an entire audiobook, would be hours of work, which is why I would ask for that sort of financial compensation, because it would be literal hours of work. But ultimately, I haven't decided what to do with that. It's probably leaning towards not going to happen. No more Game of Thrones in the near future. So I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there probably won't be any more Game of Thrones in the near future. I do hope you enjoyed those first 5 videos though, and thank you for your question. Our next question comes from Chanimus, who says, do you watch ASMR videos yourself? If so, what type of content is your favourite? Favorite gaming platform, PC, PS4, Switch, and so on. Best game you've ever played through. My favorite game series is Borderlands of all things. Favorite book. How are you inspired for new video ideas and your favorite type of content to make? Favorite animal, and do you have any pets? Feel free to answer all or none of these. Looking forward to this video. Thanks, Chanamus. Chanamus is another long-time supporter of the channel, and I appreciate all of their comments on all of my videos. It's always nice to see you around, man. Thank you. So, do you watch ASMR videos yourself? Yes, I do. I watch it basically, or I listen to it basically every night. Typically, I'll either be listening to Rain, because Rain is very relaxing for me, or my favorite ASMR channel is Blade Whisper Pro, who does very natural lo-fi ASMR videos where he just talks about his day, tells stories about work, just drinks things, plays cards, just very day-to-day activities, but he does some of my favorite videos. I also like sort of game collection or like comic collection, or videos where people talk about things that they're passionate about. I don't watch trigger videos too much. I don't watch role plays very much. But yeah, people being real about their lives, like telling stories about their lives or sharing their hobbies and their passions. They're pretty good ASMR videos. I'd recommend those. My favorite gaming platform. So for very graphical intensive games, I have a very powerful computer that I like. I have a lot of games on Steam. But the Nintendo Switch and the PS4 have probably the best exclusives that anyone could want on a console or a gaming platform. I used to have an Xbox One, and slowly but surely I sold basically every game that I had on that platform because they just weren't exclusive. Like I had them on PC or Switch or anything, and then PS4 had such better exclusives. So when the PS4 went on sale and all the games went on sale, I was like, you know what? I'm grabbing a PS4. I want to play God of War. I want to play Horizon Zero Dawn. I want to play a bunch of others I can't remember right now. But yeah, there were so many exclusives on PS4 that were good, and Nintendo's exclusives, their first-party exclusives, are always like chef's kiss. Pokemon, Mario, Smash, Donkey Kong, Zelda. Can't go wrong with Nintendo. So I would say my primary gaming platform is PC, and then Switch, and then PS4 in that order. But I still have like 3DS and all that stuff as well. The best game I've ever played through. I've played through Resident Evil 4 a load of times. Bioshock 1 is also fantastic. Pokemon, like the whole series, is pretty good. Captain Toad Treasure Track is alright. If I had to pick one, just based on purely, how many times I've replayed it, it would probably be either Resident Evil 4 or Legend of Zelda, like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. I really liked Majora's Mask a lot more than Ocarina of Time after a few years of, after a few years that I'd played Ocarina of Time and then moved on to Majora's Mask, I found the atmosphere and the lore and the world building in Majora's Mask a lot better. So yeah, probably one of those three, I'd say. My favourite book is by Marcus Zusak. It's called The Messenger. It's about a group of Australians, or like one dude in particular, who hangs out with his friends, and they're all kind of like deadbeats, like no lives. They're just taxi drivers in sort of a lower socioeconomic status area. and he's not really doing much with his life. And then one day he gets these messages in the mail, and he's just given addresses or vague hints as to who his message is for. And he also has to work out what the message is. Basically, he has to go and find these people and change their lives in some way. And I don't know, it's just got some of the most beautiful passages in it. Like, one of the messages I remember is a girl who runs so fast and so free when she's barefoot, but when she's competing and she has to wear cleats and stuff, she's just never quite at the peak of her performance. And the main character notices that and gives her like an empty shoebox, as if to say, you know, race barefoot, because that's when you're beautiful, that's when you're you, that's when you're free, you know. And then he helps to popularize a failing cinema. And at the end of the book, one of his messages is for one of his closest female friends who he's in love with like the entire book, but she always has this boyfriend. And his message to her is just that, like, I love you unconditionally, like, I'm not going to step over any boundaries. I'm glad you and the boyfriend are happy, but just know that, like, I will love you in whatever way you want me to love you, whatever way you let me love you. And yeah, it's just really nice. It's got some really nice passages in it, and I highly recommend it. That's The Messenger by Marcus Zusak. Great book. Also, The Martian by Andy Weir. That's also a great book, and a great audiobook too. How am I inspired for new video ideas? Basically, every day I'm like doing something. I'm like, hey, you know what? This could be a good ASMR video. I like coding, and people like coding. Typing is relaxing. Making a program is cool. Playing games is cool. Showing off games that I've got is cool. Maybe I should do a video on this. Literally, like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm like, could this be an ASMR video? Which does get exhausting because you sort of turn your whole life into content creation, but it's not really a big deal. After a while I can sort of tell, like, man, this isn't really practical for a video, or, you know, this would be really good for a video, I should do that. So yeah, I basically get inspired to do videos about things that I'm passionate about. So video games, collecting things, programming, computers, technology, music, movies, all that. That's where my inspiration comes from. As for my favourite type of content to make, I usually prefer these kind of videos where I'm face to face with the camera. They're usually pretty fun. The board game one's pretty fun because I get to talk about why I liked particular board games, or like just playing through a board game, because I get to have fun playing the game while I'm making content. And it's sort of like randomly generated content. It's not me following a script or anything like that, because the board game could go however way it wants. And as for the easiest content to make, it's probably some of those gaming videos where I don't show my face. I like to have usually at least one series where I'm not showing my face, so if I want to be productive by filming a video but I'm looking really tired, or I just want to be comfortable in my pajamas while making content, it doesn't matter what I look like. I can be like picking my nose off camera and you won't know because there's no face cam, you know. So that's not necessarily my favourite content, but it is handy to have at least one of those series where I don't have to be on camera. Like the old Pokemon series, or like Professor Layton, or like this upcoming game series. It is handy to have those ones sometimes. My favourite animal? I guess I would say cats. I don't really like a lot of different animals. Like birds spook me constantly. I hate bugs, and dogs can be okay, but I'm definitely more of a cat person. Do I have any pets? Yes, last year I adopted a cat. He was a beautifully lonely little boy. We went to our animal shelter, and you're allowed to go into the pen, and there's usually a bunch of cats in there. It's really cute when they have kittens in there, but they didn't have any. But they had this gentle boy, and he climbed up on our lap immediately and curled up. It's having a chin scratch. And he has like the most beautiful eyes. I think it's probably a bad picture, but I think so anyway, and I will not hear otherwise. And yeah, he just curled up, dozed off, and my mum had always said, no, you're not getting a cat. You know? She was adamant that we would not get a cat. She didn't want to clean up after him, they would wreck the house. And then I went home after seeing him that day. His name was Murphy at the time. And I couldn't stop thinking about him, man, this one cat. I was like, this was the most gentle, gorgeous cat. I said to Mum, I was like, Mum, could I seriously adopt this cat? It's breaking my heart that it's at the shelter. And she thought about it. And I went and inquired at the shelter and was like, what's the process of adopting this cat? And they let me know, like, you have to come into an interview and all this stuff. So my family travelled across early one Saturday morning to my city where the shelter was. We all went and met Murphy. And Mum said, yep, you can pay for him, you can feed him and everything, and you can bring him home. I was like, thank you. So we adopted Little Pudding, as I named him. So Pudding's kind of a weird name for a cat, but it's sort of like an inside joke with my family. We call each other like Pud or Puddinhead. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring Pud home. So this is after I let him out of his travel case the first time I brought him home. And he immediately made himself comfortable, curled up under my computer monitor. And then, yeah, he slept for like the first couple of days. It was a pretty big transition for him. I was pretty prepared for him to hide under beds and stuff, because apparently that's what they do. A bit anxious, but nah, he was fine. He was just sleepy. Very, very curious little boy. He doesn't like being left alone. So like if you and him are the only people in the room and you leave, he'll follow you out just to see what you're doing. He's so gentle, very friendly. When I pick him up now, he used to I pick him up like that, right? And he'd just sit on my arms. Now, as soon as I pick him up, he rolls over and gets cradled like a baby and just sits there like that. He's a doofus. But, yeah, and he loves a cuddle. Sits on my lap now. So yeah, I am very glad that we got that cat. It's brought a lot of happiness and love in my life. So yeah, thanks for the questions. Hope you enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about me and my cat, because I'm a crazy cat dude apparently. Our next question comes from Hunger Games, who says, what kind of music do you listen to? Congrats on 5k. Thanks, man. I have a really weird taste in music. My main bands that I listen to are Arctic Monkeys, Bastille, The Wombats, Blink-182. I'd say that's the main ones. But I also do enjoy listening to a bit of Panic! At the Disco, a bit of Fall Out Boy, but also things like A Day to Remember, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Paramore. I listen to a band called Heavy Horses because they did a song in Overwatch, which was like my favourite game. and I got really into them, and they're like hard, like very definition of country music, like talking about riding down to Mexico and killing my baby and all that stuff. Gorillaz, a little bit of Lord, Maroon 5. I listen to like a wide variety of stuff. And then lately I've been listening to some older stuff. Like I made a YouTube playlist where I'm listening to like Take On Me, You Give Love a Bad Name, Footloose, like all those sort of old bangers. That's what I call them. Dance in the Moonlight, that's a really good one. Yeah. I like anything that's just good, I listen to. What I don't like is basically anything played on Triple J or like most stuff on the radio, because I have to listen to it for 8 hours a day at work, and it's pretty rough. I'm not really into it, and everything sort of starts to sound the same to me after a while. So like going back to those other songs or those old songs where there was actual music content in it and not just like beats. Yeah, I like that. The next question comes from Paolo Newell, who says, "Thanks so much, Evergreen. I struggle with insomnia and your videos have tremendously helped me, especially the tale of Beetle the Bard. My question is, have you done ASMR for someone in real life?" No worries, man. Glad you like the reading of Tales of Beetle the Bard. It's a pretty cool book, that one. Have I done ASMR for someone in real life? Not seriously. I'll do it every now and then as a joke, because a few of my real life friends know that I do like ASMR content. So if we're playing a game or something, instead of yelling at people, if they're like getting me killed or if I need help or something, instead of yelling at them, I'll be like, "Yeah, I need help over here. Please come help me. Like, I'm gonna have to ask you not to do that again. Don't shoot me. Or like, heal me, please." I like get creepily quiet because like no one likes having this high quality mic whispered in their ear while they're trying to play a game. So I do it more of as a meme than like anything serious. I mean, I've probably done like unintentionally for people when I'm like drawing or doing something at work, because you know how you can be like watching someone and then just like flipping through pages of a book, like browsing it in a shop, or like drawing or writing something, and you just get like a little tingle up the back of your neck. I've probably done that for someone, but not intentionally. I think it would be weird doing it intentionally, like, you know, oh, my girlfriend's here, it's like, alright, oh, you can't sleep, I guess tonight I'll do like a boyfriend roleplay or a game store roleplay. Like, can you imagine being in bed with your significant other and you're like, oh, you can't sleep? Oh, okay. Thanks for coming to the game store today. This is Super Smash Brothers, and I think you'd really like that. Do you want to buy that? Oh, okay. Like, that'd be kind of weird. Maybe I should do that there and start like memeing. I think that'd be funny. But thanks for your question, man. Our next question comes from Derek's, and he asks probably the most important question of all. He says, waffles or pancakes? Now, I was originally going to say pancakes because I've eaten probably 10 times the amount of pancakes over waffles in my life. But actually thinking about it, I think I actually prefer waffles, because after like 2 of the big pancakes, I start to get sick of them. But waffles, because of their crispy texture, I don't think I ever find myself getting sick of waffles. Like, after a while, pancakes make me like physically nauseous. Not to the point where I have an aversion of it, but pretty ill. But waffles, I'm always just like, these are dope. They're crunchy and they're cinnamon. Like, yeah. So if I had the big one, I'd probably say waffles, to be honest. Thanks for your question there. Our next question comes from Melissa, who says, "Congrats, you deserve all the subscribers. What is the hardest part about being in the ASMR category of YouTube? Also, do you like horror films? If so, which is your fave? Congrats again." Thanks, Mel. Always like seeing you around. I've seen you on a bunch of videos, and I think you've been supporting the channel a long time, so I appreciate that. The hardest part about being in the ASMR category of YouTube. I would say that where it was originally a pretty niche category over the past 10-ish years, well, not 10 because I've only been around 7, but over the past like 5 years maybe, seems like every man and his dog has an ASMR channel now. So the hardest part is, being unique, standing out. Why watch me when you could watch thousands of others who, regularly upload? But honestly, I don't really compare myself that much to other people because I know that I have very niche content, like ASMR in itself is niche already. But then you add on Pokemon Nuzlocke and, board game collections and horror movie reviews. I don't think you could get a tinier slice of genre than some of the videos that I do. So I guess the hardest part is just growing as a channel, like any YouTube channel, because YouTube is so accessible to everyone these days. It's just hard growing in general, I think. There are 2 other things that I will mention though. One is that if you find a lot of channels that are like your own, like gaming ASMR sort of combo, eventually you'll have some overlap between the 2 channels, where someone might play a game that I was planning on, or I might play a game that someone else was planning on, or they're doing content that I would like to do, but I don't want to step on their toes. So that becomes hard because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping off other people. I don't want other people to feel like I'm ripping them off. But at the end of the day, we all sort of like inspire and build off each other's work. So, that's just how YouTube is sometimes. And the other issue is, of course, in general, it is much easier for attractive female ASMR artists to grow very quickly, very explosively, and a large contributor to that is because they're attractive, and I don't particularly care about that. It doesn't worry me because that's not something that I can compete with. It's like I'm not going to suddenly become beautiful and start trying to compete with attractive female content creators. And I also don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing that that there's all these successful YouTube and Twitch content creators out there. It's just something to note, if you're male, or even if you don't show your face, like face cam-less videos typically do worse than videos with faces, even if you're male. You're probably just not going to see the type of explosive growth that other channels do. But as I said, it used to bother me, like when I was younger, because it was like, oh man, it's not fair. But it's like, honestly, as long as I'm making content that I'm happy with, it doesn't matter to me if I get 1 subscriber a month or 100. As long as I'm putting out work that I'm proud of, that's all that really matters to me. Do I like horror films? Of course I like horror films. Who doesn't like horror films? But yeah, I actually have like a horror movie club series with 1 video in it that I did like 4 years ago. If so, which is my fave? I really like the It remake, It Chapter 1. Chapter 2 wasn't great. Thoroughly enjoyed Chapter 1 though. I thought that was a very spooky movie. I thought the kid actors did great. I'd never seen or read It before, but yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the first movie. And I actually just recently watched Doctor Sleep as well, and having not seen The Shining, but still knowing enough about it to follow Doctor Sleep, I thought Doctor Sleep was a solid 8 out of 10, I think. There was one or two things that probably kept it from being a 10 from me. But you know what? I could probably do a horror movie club video on that, so I won't go into it here. But yeah, definitely It Chapter 2 is very memorable. Sorry, It Chapter 1. I had to wash my mouth out there. It Chapter 1 is great. But thanks for your question, Mel. Our next question comes from Vortex PGO, who says, I love the latent playthrough vids. Any chance of future vids with other games from the series? And what are your favourite ASMR triggers? Glad you like the series, man. I'm pretty fond of that series as well. Yes, there is a 100% chance of future vids with other games from the series. I intend to do all of them, or at least all of the ones that I own. It's just that I don't have the games or my 3DS with the capture card installed on me at the present. So that'll be something that comes probably after Legend of Zelda finishes. I'll probably start Pandora's Box. Is that the next one? Whatever the second one is, I'll be starting that one. Yeah, I plan to go through them. I think they're fantastic games and perfect for ASMR content as well. Like puzzles are dope and the story is very interesting. As for my favourite ASMR triggers, I like whispered voices, very particular whispered voices. I find that a lot of female whispered voices are too high, too trebly for me. They kind of hurt my ears after a while, but males whispering are usually a lot lower. And yeah, Blade Whisper Pro's whispers are the best that I've heard. I love his videos. I like some follow the light videos. I don't often sit there and watch ASMR videos. I like usually listen to them or like sleep to them. But some follow the light ones are pretty good. I don't really like eating. I don't really like intentional mouth sounds. Tapping I can give or take, because usually people are just like bashing on an object and be like, yeah, it's relaxing, isn't it? I'm like, what? But yeah, probably whispering and rain. And actually like face touching. There's sometimes when you're watching like haircut role plays and they do like the face brushes where they're like doing that kind of thing, that feels pretty good sometimes. I like that. But thanks for your questions, man. Our next question comes from Aru Days, who says, congrats. If you were to do anything other than gaming / ASMR for YouTube, what would you do? This may be a little invasive, I don't know, but what do you do outside of YouTube? And how has COVID lockdown been for you? So, your first question was a little ambiguous. If I was to do anything other than gaming / ASMR for YouTube, what would I do? If you're asking what other kind of content I would do for YouTube, I want to do music covers eventually. I'm probably going to be trying to put one of those out this year or next year. But yeah, I like music and playing music and making my own covers of songs that I love. So probably music covers. I also would like to dabble in game design or game review content or movie review content. Because that's mostly what I watch. But I'm not really into like reacts, or I don't think I would want to be like a professional streamer. I like doing it as a hobby, but I don't think I would want to do it as a profession. If you meant what would I do if I was doing anything other than YouTube, I don't know, acting has always been sort of an interesting hobby that I would have liked to pursue, but I don't have the outlets to. Definitely playing music live, like in a band. I've always dreamed about like playing with my friends in a band at just some local cafe or restaurant, just playing some chill tunes for the people. That'd be cool. And in terms of like career, I would really like to do like working in film or video editing or some sort of media like that. Like I had a radio show at one stage, which was pretty cool with my friend. But I also like programming as well, so I kind of want to do like app development or program development or web development, something like that. I don't know, man. I have like a million hobbies, and it's like a jack of all trades and master of none situation for me, which is very upsetting. Also, competitive, like professional gamer in like Overwatch, if I was good enough, which I'm obviously not. I think that would be pretty cool. Like playing my favorite video game with, you know, my teammates who are some of the best in the world on a stage in front of thousands of people. That would be awesome. I don't think I'd be able to perform because I get huge stage fright, but that would be cool. What I do outside of YouTube, so this isn't invasive at all, this is fun. Typically, I just game a lot. I spend a lot of time watching video essays or listening to video essays on YouTube, trying to educate myself about games industry or movie industry. Just trying to learn as much as I can, basically. Gaming is definitely a big hobby. I spend a lot of time in that. I want to experience as many games as I can because they are so enjoyable and they numb the pain of this mortal realm. Yeah, I dabble in coding, in programming, app development. I dabble in serious video editing. I've been working on a wedding video for like a year as a favour. Which sounds bad, I'm not getting paid for it, it's alright. Yeah, I love media stuff and yeah, just consuming media, like absorbing as many stories, as many characters, as much life as I can, you know. As for my job, I work at like a department store, like 8 hours a day as a supervisor. And it's super unfulfilling, but I don't know what I want to do as a career at the moment, and I'm sort of just saving up to build a house, including hopefully a very large filming space, because I'm tired of being cramped in little rooms. As for the COVID lockdown, it's been okay. I don't typically travel or go out too much anyway. I think the worst part of COVID lockdown is that everyone else who normally does like going out and not staying home a weekend has been locked down with me. So them being, you know, restless is making me restless because this is like, chill. Like I like being alone or by myself. I've got plenty of games to play, plenty of series to watch. There's so much stuff to do on the internet, man. It's been fun for me, honestly. I'm lucky enough to have kept my job this whole year. So I haven't really been at home as much as other people have. Still been earning a consistent paycheck, for which I'm thankful. So yeah, it hasn't been the worst. Because I'm at work, I can't take full advantage of the time of like the lockdown could potentially grant me, which is upsetting, but you know, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. But yeah, thanks for your questions. I hope COVID lockdown's been alright for you too. Our next question comes from Cavalier, who says, what are your favourite types of video games? This is a sick question. So, I love card games. More specifically, like deck building, adventure, RPG kind of games like that, where there's a strategy to it. You're not necessarily playing against other people, but you're playing against like monsters or like AI or like a great evil, or just the cards are used in some unique concept where you know, that's events happening to you, and that's what you're trying to survive through. Like, well, for example, one of my favorites is Slay the Spire, which is a single-player card game where it's like a roguelike. So every time you die, you start again. You go through, you earn relics, you pick cards to take after every fight. You fight bosses, different classes, different builds. Love it. Put so many hours into that between the Switch and the PC version. Hearthstone Dungeon Run is kind of cool. Hearthstone multiplayer is less cool. I put a lot of time into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist game, single player game. Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color was probably one of my favorite card games ever, and I only played that like a couple of years ago. There's a game called Frost on Switch and probably other platforms that's a cool like single player survival card game. There's this solo card game called Friday, which is also an app, which is about like Robinson Crusoe learning to survive on an island, which I think is very fun, very unique sort of puzzle deck building strategy game for one player. Yeah, I love card games, man. I just suck at them competitively. So yeah, probably card games, then some roguelikes I very much enjoy, although I'm getting a bit sick of them at the moment because like every other indie game these days is a roguelike. But I do like Spelunky, Rogue Legacy is pretty cool. Dead Cells is alright. Risk of Rain's pretty cool. Yeah. There's a lot to be done with roguelikes, but just when every game coming out is a roguelike, it's a bit much. And then I've always been pretty good at shooters as well, so they're okay, but they're not like my go-to kind of game. I like a lot of different styles of video games because there can just be so many like unique ones, especially like a lot of old games where they weren't just pumping out the same game every year with minor tweaks, when they actually had like unique concepts, and old games were like actually scary, unlike this sort of jump scare marathons that we see through today. But yeah, I'd have to say card games are probably my favourite. Thanks for your question, man. Our next question comes from Human, who says, do you plan to make any Spelunky 2 videos? Your Spelunky videos were my introduction to the game. Congrats on 5k. Thanks, dude. First of all, it's really cool to hear that my Spelunky video was the introduction to such a fantastic game for someone, because honestly that's how I found Spelunky. I followed a YouTuber who mostly did Pokemon videos, and I was going through their back catalogue, and they had a bunch of streams of Spelunky. I was like, what, this game? This looks cool. And I watched every one of their streams, like multi-hour streams of Spelunky. It's like, I have to have this game. And that was before it came out on PS3, so the only thing I had was PS3. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait. And it eventually came out. I was like, yes, this is the best, and I put hours into it. I love Spelunky. And so having like my introduction to the game be the same as your introduction to the game, like one of your favorite YouTubers, that's really cool. The reason I didn't do more Spelunky videos is because it was when I was like starting out, and it didn't do particularly well, and I felt a little embarrassed that I'd done it and no one was really interested in it. But yeah, with Spelunky 2 coming out, hell yeah, I'm going to do some videos in it because I love that game. That'd be cool. Especially if it comes out on Switch, man, I will play the crap out of that game if it comes out on Switch. I've always said the Switch is the perfect console for Spelunky, if only they'd brought it to it, but it doesn't look like they're going to, which is sad. Maybe we'll see like a Spelunky/Spelunky 2, collector's edition combo pack or something for the Switch. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. I love that game. I bought the collector's edition on PS4, man, that was sick. Yeah. And that's actually coming out this month, I believe, on like PS4. It's Spelunky 2, so look forward to that. I can't guarantee it'll be an entire series, but I'll do a video of it every now and then because that one's so easy to just like have a blast with, have a couple of runs through, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. Thanks for your question. Thanks for reminding me it was coming out too, because honestly I forgot. I'll have to get that soon. And our final question this evening comes from AJ, who says, do you plan on bringing back Horror Movie Club? Yeah, I absolutely do. I spoke about it earlier. It might not be in the same exact format as the first one, but I hope to still make it as like a decent chunk of time, so like podcast length, like 30 to 40 minutes, but less nitpicking, less trying to be funny, and more analysis and discussion of the actual movie. As far as I've worked out, I want to do like I want to run through like the whole plot of the movie, like synopsis, and then talk about things that stood out to me, like maybe any plot holes, things to look out for in each scene, maybe compare it to some other movies that are similar to it, and then whether or not it's worth watching, and like I'll probably keep the number scale, but just sort of mixing it up a bit. I don't want to necessarily run through every single movie that I write about line by line, because I do end up with like 12 handwritten pages of notes. But Horror Movie Club will 100% make a comeback at some stage in the future, in some form. I sound like such a businessman. But that brings us to the end of our 5K Q&A questions. It's been a weird year, but I am thankful for all of us coming together when I get off my butt and end up uploading a video to share in our combined passion for gaming and horror movies and Game of Thrones and board games and ASMR and community, As I said, I wouldn't be here without you guys. I'm not normally the one to stick to a long-term project, but just having the overwhelming support over the last 6 or 7 years has really been amazing for motivation and for keeping this going. And honestly, one day when I'm older and I look back on my life, this will be like one of the things I'm most proud of, is having a semi-successful YouTube channel for nearly a decade, and hopefully many more years to come. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you at 10k in 20 years. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.